welcome back. Now, it takes a man to teach a boy to become a man. As such, the 5th edition of the Biannual Boys Leadership Camp is about to be underway. Now, the camp is geared towards creating a safe space for boys to come together, to play, to learn, and most importantly, to earn the rite of passage towards manhood by means of making healthy choices. Now, Ismael Ashipembe, the 4x4 Initiative Foundation Director and Coach, now joins us in the studio for more on this. Good morning, Ismael, and welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you again.
Pleasure to be here.
All right. Just give us a brief background on how the 4x4 Initiative Foundation started.
Okay, so it started with the founder. He was on holiday one time in Swakop, and there was a boy who was just taking 4x4s that were stuck in the sand. He was basically pulling them out over and over again. It's all he was doing. So the idea to him was, if a 4x4 is stuck in the sand, it will take another 4x4 to pull it out. So generally in society, you find men and boys are stuck, and it will take other men to step up and pull them out for support. Yes.
That's an interesting way to start an initiative. But just, can you tell us about the main goals of the 5th edition? It is the 5th edition, and the leadership camp and what inspired its creation. You just mentioned that it started from there, but perhaps just about the edition itself and the leadership camp.
So you'll find a lot of households in the modern day have no fathers. There are no father figures either. And as you quoted in the beginning, it takes a man to teach a boy to become a man. So with no men being there, it becomes very difficult for the boys to model themselves after somebody. So the camp is a space for them to be around males and to pick up on how men are supposed to conduct themselves. And they take that mindset home, because now with moms just in the house, it becomes very difficult. Because there comes a point where the woman's voice no longer goes into that brain of the boys. And he needs a man to actually step up and guide him.
How does this camp create a safe space for boys? And I mean, I think communication also with boys or men becomes difficult. They rather hold everything inside and just laugh it off. And how do you create that safe space where they can express themselves and also just be themselves as well?
So healthcare professionals, particularly in the mental health space, will tell you that a lot of men don't really open up and so on. And they don't really have a lot of male counselors also. So men will hardly open up to women. So having men there to actually lend an ear becomes a bit easier, because we speak the exact same language, and it becomes easier for them to open up and speak up and unpack what it is that's actually plaguing them.
Of course. Yes. And what are some of the core values and healthy choices you emphasize during the camp?
Self-leadership. Boundaries is a big one. Your previous guest was speaking on a lot of the things that we actually tackle. So we do a lot of teaching via acronyms. One of the acronyms we have is ABC. A stands for assertiveness. You need to be assertive, meaning your yes is your yes and your no should be your no. And B stands for boundaries. You need to create boundaries for yourself, or others will create them for you and violate them. And C stands for choices. So choices will be based on values like self-respect, discipline, and so forth. So once you instill those values, it becomes easier for them to make healthier choices, to create boundaries for themselves so that they're not violated. Yes.
And how do you help them to transition from boys to men? That in itself is a process, of course, but that little time that you have with them, how do you help them in that process?
So there's a philosophical principle that goes, it has 3 stages. The first stage of life is you learn. The second stage of life is you earn. And then the final stage is you return. So earning is you acquiring knowledge. And earning is you applying that knowledge towards your career and building a network and so forth. And returning is you giving back to those who are at the same stage you were at in the beginning. So you highlight those different stages and why they are very important. So you ask them, for instance, who they look up to. And whoever they name, you simply tell them those guys went through this exact same stage. And it's a lonely stage, because a lot of the times you'll be by yourself and you need to focus on that. And once you come out of that stage, eventually you'll end up exactly where the person you look up to is.
Indeed. So you mentioned earlier about, just mentoring these young boys and so forth. But what role does mentors and coaches play in guiding boys through their journey when it comes to the camp?
So mental, physical, spiritual training. We do a lot of physical activities because the mind needs to, the body needs to actually be sharp. Because at times the body can send signals to the mind. So when the body is not sharp, the mind sometimes also just follows suit. Or sometimes you'll end up focusing too much on your mindset. You read a lot of books. You are very knowledgeable, but now your body is not capable of implementing and putting into action all your thoughts and ideas. So you need to find that balance where you do the physical activities, and then throughout the day, we'll engage in a lot of more mental activities. So I always tell the boys, you need to be very balanced. Don't just focus on physical. Don't just focus on mental, because they all work together. And once you harmonize both, you're going to be healthier generally. And creating boundaries will lead to you not ending up having year-end fatigue, for instance.
Yeah. Ismael, this is the 5th edition, and I'm sure you guys have learned a lot in terms of how you can better each edition. Perhaps just taking us through some of the positive stories that came out of it, and also just how the camp has grown over the years.
Okay, positive stories. So once the boys get to the camp, we would divide them into groups, and each group would be responsible for helping out throughout the day, in the kitchen and cleaning up throughout the day. So the boys pick up that kind of mindset. And when some of them go home, for instance, you'll find at the camp during cooking sessions, some cannot cook, but they find that just peeling the potatoes or making other preparations makes it easier for the chef to actually get their job done. So when they go home, they carry the same mindset. This one boy, for instance, the mom called her, I don't know what you did to this guy, but he's very, I don't know, he's very helpful around the house. He's helping the little brothers and so forth, because at the camp, the saying is punishment for one, punishment to all. So if you wake up and come to the formation line by yourself, but you left your roommate sleeping, then it doesn't work. So you'd find some kids in the household, you would wake up and then leave the little ones sleeping. So they don't take accountability, even though they're the ones who are supposed to be responsible for the little ones. So, and then they help out around the house. He can't cook, but he makes the preparations for the cooking much easier, peeling the potatoes and just doing the little things. So when the chef actually comes, things are already ready. So just little things like that.
That's quite interesting. Let's talk about the requirements for the boy child to be part of this camp, and perhaps just the fees as well. Is there any fees that one needs to pay?
Yes.
How do you apply?
So we target boys between 12 to 20, and the fee is 1,500. So it's going to be a 10-day camp. In terms of application, I'll give out my number on air so they can just give me a call, and then I'll forward them the application form. They fill it in, and then we take it from there.
Let's say the number already.
It's 081 224 7360.
All right.
Yes.
How important is it for boys to have male role models, and like just yourself during this rite of passage?
Iron sharpens iron. So some of the boys will say, for instance, when they hit puberty, testosterone kicks in, the voice gets deeper. And when they speak to their moms sometimes get intimidated because now he's bigger. So they tell them to soften up. So what ends up happening is they become so soft that just becomes them. Even at the camp, they don't speak up and out. They're not confident because they're all constantly being forced to tone it down and soften. And that has the effect of making boys not very confident at all. They're not very confident. So we teach them the opposite. As a man, you must speak up and out. People must hear you. People must feel you. You must be assertive. You must have boundaries. You must make very assertive choices as well. So we teach them like that. And so even when we exercise together. And throughout the curriculum that we actually go through in the camp. So you'll find, for instance, there's first responder training, right? And then we have mental health sessions. And then you have NAMPO coming in, speaking on GBV, substance abuse, and how boys can maneuver lawfully through the community. And at times you'll have an entrepreneur coming in, teaching why it's important to have an entrepreneurial mindset. So we go through all these activities together. And they see that as much as they're the ones who are learning more, we are also having to learn to adapt to maneuver with them, even though we are the grown-ups. So we're all learning together and maneuvering together and doing things together. And it's very important for them to see you do the same thing. Because I tell them, run until there, but then I don't do it. And they'll give you this look like, you need to practice what you preach.
Of course.
So hence why kids actually have a way of grounding you as a person, as an adult. If you have very small kids, you need to be able to play with them. But most grown-ups now, There's this saying that goes, you don't stop playing because you grow old because you stop playing. So then your body just starts to shut down. All you ever do is just engage your mindset, but now your body cannot keep up. You can't even really play with your kids. When was the last time you climbed a tree, for instance?
Good question.
Exactly. So there's a study that shows that I think it's more than 90% of people, by the time they hit 30, they never ever sprint again the rest of their lives. But you have kids. How are you going to run around with them? To teach them by example. Now you're sitting on the couch telling them, hey, don't do this, don't do that. You need to be actively doing that. And then it's easy for them to follow, especially boys. It's very important for boys.
So they learn by action.
They learn by action.
Okay.
So it's very important.
All right. How can parents and communities get involved to support this initiative, besides from the fee that is being paid? Other people can come on board, perhaps, to make this bigger in every region?
Yes. So we have what we refer to as boys to men events. We go from different towns. One of the events we have is called a Boys to Men event, cook-off edition. So we have a sports edition as well, but sports is always very obvious. So we call it cook-off edition because cooking is the main theme there. Now, cooking dispels the stereotype of men not being in the kitchen and so forth. So as a man, you must be able to go hunt the food, prepare the food, and, you know, through the whole thing. So the idea behind it is that success is not a secret. It's a recipe. Cooking is exactly the same thing. So when you're cooking, you don't like the result of what you have now, change one or two things, and then you get a different type of dish the next time until you find a dish that works specifically well for you. It's the same way with success. So if you model yourself after somebody, not everything he went through, you'll have to go through. Sometimes what he went through won't really work for you, but you'll have to sort of try it and see, okay, that part doesn't work. I'll remove that and replace it with something else. And then you just slowly take it from there. Yes.
Ismael, perhaps just, it is indeed an important topic, looking at the fact that there has been conversations in terms of the boy child being left behind. And perhaps just your last words as you motivate and also perhaps just urge parents to be part of this initiative or communities.
So throughout all our activities, we always have families there, but I guess in the modern day, family means mother and kids. There aren't any men present throughout our activities in general. And that's a problem, as I've just mentioned now, how boys need to be led by example. So all the negative stats in society are usually dominated by men. Highest suicide rates, highest incarceration rates, etc., etc. Where do the men chill? At the pub, shebeen, they're drinking. You don't find them part of book clubs and very constructive things. So it's very difficult for the boys to have very positive role models. So as the foundation, we want particularly men to come through because it's their voice that actually penetrates the boy child. Because the boy will eventually grow up to become a man. And if you don't teach him now, what kind of man is he going to become? The boys from Hatia say, if you don't teach the boy, the man will never know. So he's a grown-up, but he's now not manly because nobody ever showed him the way. And everybody needs to be shown the way. Yes.
Lastly, just before I let you go, perhaps just a long-term vision for the initiative.
So we want it to become standard practice, whereby men become mentors.
Indeed.
Because in the olden days, you'd have, even if you didn't have a father at home, there was an uncle, a grandfather, and so forth. But now our society is very fragmented. We're very isolated. We actually don't even have communities anymore. Just have your house. So if you have issues in your house, those issues will come into the community. And these are the things that we're actually experiencing now. Men are very detached. So once you instill hope in the boy child, he becomes a man with hope for the future. When men become hopeful, they become better. They make better choices. They become more engaged with women and with their children and so forth. So it just makes families better. All
right. Are you on social media where they can reach you as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So our website is 4x4initiative.org. On Facebook is the same.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for being on Namibia Connect and all the best.
Pleasure.
All right.